Part 45. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 441. Xianxia picked up the pen and started writing, not forgetting to shout outside, "Zhikong, please come in, the Lord of the Southern Continent." After the two of them came in, they saw what Xianxia was writing, and Mrs. Linger was sitting quietly aside. The Lord of the Southern Continent quickly walked up to her and asked in a low voice, "How is it?" Linger smiled and said, "Master Yu is indeed very powerful and has superb medical skills. She can cure me." The Lord of the Southern Continent paused and glanced at the girl in the red dress who lowered her head to write. He didn't know what he was thinking. Xianxia wrote a medicine list. After writing it, she handed it to the Lord of the Southern Continent. He took the medicine list and looked at it. The names of the medicinal materials were all on it, and he knew that these were the medicines needed to treat Linger. There are more than 20 items written down in total, and the quantities are also clearly stated. Although there are a few rare medicinal materials, they are not impossible to obtain. Could she really be able to cure Linger? Although it was obvious at first glance, Xianxia still explained, "These are the medicinal materials needed to treat Madame Linger. Bring them when they are ready. I will refine the elixir for Madame. Take one pill 4 times every 7 days. In a few months, Madame will be back to her original state." The Lord of the Southern Continent did not expect that the treatment would be so simple. He glanced at Linger and was a little curious about what they said, so Linger believed her so much. He only heard a few words, which had nothing to do with his illness. He knew that they talked in other ways. Maybe it was private conversations between women that were not convenient for their men to hear, or there were other reasons. "Master Yu, what is Linger's disease?" the male continental leader asked. Xianxia glanced at Mrs. Linger and smiled and said, "It was not a serious disease originally, but the treatment was not right, and I took elixirs all the year round. There was too much erysipelas in my body, which destroyed my health. Over the years, it accumulated. My body has reached its limit. If I get sick again, I won't be able to cure it. You guys came in time." She did not say what the specific disease was, but she made it clear to the Lord of the Southern Continent that Linger's disease was not serious at first, but it became more serious due to inappropriate treatment. To what extent can it be cured? The Lord of the Southern Continent is naturally very aware of Linger's physical condition. He has never thought about returning to the same state as before, but he also wants to know how much better it can be. "You will know when the time comes. Just give me the consultation fee in a month." Xianxia did not say it directly. The effect would be better for them to see than for her to say it herself at this time. The Lord of the Southern Continent raised his eyebrows. "Is she so confident?" Xianxia said to Mrs. Linger, "Madam, show your 2 wrists. I'll give you a few injections to control the condition and stop it from getting serious. When the medicinal materials are ready, I will refine the elixir. You don't have to worry after taking one, it couldn't be more serious." Mrs. Linger stretched out her 2 wrists without hesitation. Xianxia took out the silver needles, picked them up and dropped 3 needles on each wrist. "Take it off after a quarter of an hour, and Madame will feel stronger. After taking the first pill, a lot of erysipelas and impurities in the body will be excreted. It is normal to vomit a few mouthfuls of black blood. Don't be afraid. Your body will be fine every 7 days thereafter. There are big changes." Mrs. Linger was shocked when she looked at the silver needle on her wrist. The silver needle pricked her body, and only she knew the effect. As soon as the silver needle entered the skin, she saw an invisible force in her body. Her condition was spreading. She was so weak that she needed help to walk. Now she can walk on her own. Although her body is still very weak, walking slowly is absolutely fine. "It's amazing," she couldn't help but say. After hearing her words, the Lord of the Southern Continent immediately asked, "Do you feel it?" "Well, I feel stronger. Mrs. Bell's tone was filled with joy. The Lord of the Southern Continent couldn't help but be happy on his face. That's great. Immediately handed the medicine list that Ruan Xiangloo had just written to the person next to him. Go and prepare it immediately and deliver it as soon as possible. When the quarter of an hour came, Ruan Xiangloo picked up the needle and put it away, and then said directly to the guest, the medicinal materials will be sent after they are prepared. Come and pick up the elixir tomorrow morning. The house has not prepared a guest garden, so we will not accept any guests. The Lord of the Southern Continent was stunned. This was the first time for him to be treated as a guest in such a straightforward manner. He, the Lord of the Continent, was not treated politely by people wherever he went. It would be a great honor to stay for a meal and stay for a day. It was a good thing that Ruan Xiangloo was afraid that they would stay for food and accommodation, so she saw them off unceremoniously. Although he had no intention of staying for food and accommodation, he felt uncomfortable being sent off in such an unceremonious manner. Xuanhuan made an invitation gesture and explained casually, Luoluo will be in seclusion soon. If the Lord of the Southern Continent had not brought his wife to treat him, Luoluo would not be prepared to pick up the patient. This sentence can be regarded as a simple explanation of the reason why Yuan Xiangloo was so rude, and it also told the Lord of the Southern Continent that Yuan Xiangloo had already given him a lot of face. The Lord of the Southern Continent twitched his lips. These two people are really a perfect match. One sends guests off politely, and the other fills in the reasons, making it impossible for you to be picky. As long as she can cure Ling he doesn't care about Yan Xiangloo's attitude. After all, if she can really cure Ling she does have the pride with her medical skills. The Lord of the Southern Continent waved his hand and said, Ling is not in good health and is not used to staying outside for too long. After saying that, he helped Mrs. Ling and the two of them walked out. Mrs. Ling stood up and thanked Yuan Xiangloo, thank you so much, Master Yu. Only two people understood what her thank you meant for Xianxia. After sending away the giant Buddha, the Lord of the Southern Continent, Xuanhuan returned to the living room and saw Yan Xiangloo still sitting there, knowing that she was waiting for his return. Sit down next to her. Did Luoluo use mind-reading skills? Yan Xiangloo looked at him in surprise and said, how do you know? Could it be that when she uses mind-reading skills, strong people can still sense it? Xuanhuan said, I guess. Yan Xiangloo's eyes paused. How did you guess that? Luoluo wants to talk to her alone. It must be because she has been ill. The reason lies with herself. Luoluo wants to know the reason to convince her. We don't know anything about the matter between the Lord of the Southern Continent and her. Luoluo can use to convince her in such a short time. I must have used mind-reading technology to hear her true thoughts and know the real reasons, so that I could persuade her to cooperate with the treatment in a targeted manner. Xuanhuan spoke out his guess in a gentle tone. Yan Xiangloo frowned, can the Lord of the Southern Continent also guess it? Xuanhuan said, I should be able to guess roughly. How could the Lord of a continent be a simple person? He could guess something from it, and the Lord of the Southern Continent must also be able to. Moreover, the Lord of the Southern Continent knew very well what happened between the two of them, so it was naturally more accurate than what he had guessed. Yan Xiangloo sighed and said with emotion, emotions are really magical things. They are invisible but can control people to do things that others think are not worth it. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 442. Chapter 442, Careful about every detail. Xuanhuan narrowed his eyes after hearing what Yan Xiangloo said and asked, is she half dead because of emotional matters? For the emotionally slow Luoluo to be so emotional, it must be because of deep emotional entanglements. He could see that although the Lord of the Southern Continent cared about Mrs. Ling he didn't have much love for her between man and woman in his eyes. At that time, he knew that there was a story between the two. Now I can be sure by looking at Luoluo's expression and tone. Yan Xianluo nodded. The reason why she was able to successfully persuade Mrs. Linger to agree to cooperate with her treatment was mainly because she heard her voice and was able to make the most accurate judgment and say the words that touched her. In fact, Mrs. Linger's cultivation level is much higher than hers. It stands to reason that using mind-reading skills on her may not be successful, but her current physical condition is too bad, giving her an opportunity to take advantage of it. In addition, Linger the madam would not have thought that she could read minds. She was focused on talking to her and had no precautions at all. Because of this, she could successfully read her voice and roughly know some of the emotional entanglements between the two. Yan Xianluo was amused by Ji Zhong's half-dead description. His description was too accurate. Well, I heard her voice. It probably means that Mrs. Linger saved the life of the Lord of the Southern Continent. Mrs. Linger fell in love with him at first sight. The Lord of the Southern Continent noticed her feelings for him and took her away. After returning home, because the Lord of the Southern Continent had a wife and more than a dozen concubines, although he could not give her the position of head wife, he also gave her a unique title, Mrs. Linger, which is something that other concubines cannot have and are not unique. She is not more than his wife. She also loves her because of her life-saving grace. However, the main reason why the Lord of the Southern Continent loves her is because of his life-saving grace. As time goes by, this love gradually fades. Therefore, she began to harm her body to attract the attention of the Lord of the Southern Continent in order to gain his favor. Over time, she harmed her body to this extent. Ji Zhong was speechless after hearing this. How could there be such a stupid person in the world? He had seen many tricks of competing for favor and love. He had also seen people who harmed their bodies to achieve their goals, but he harmed himself to the point of death. This is the first time I see people. He didn't understand what the meaning of being favored in this way was. She doesn't look like such a stupid person, Ji Zhong said. The authorities are confused, Yu Xianluo said. She also felt that Mrs. Linger was not a fool, but she had fallen into a dead end, and no one knew her true thoughts. Even if they knew, no one would remind her. After all, in the mansion of the Lord of the Land, how can there be sincerity? People who treat others sincerely are why they are where they are now. If she was really a fool, she wouldn't have been able to persuade her with just a few words. Do you men want to have many women? Yan Xianluo suddenly realized that powerful men in this world would have many women. She had never thought about getting married before, so she didn't care. But it was different now. Her relationship with Ji Zhong was getting deeper and deeper, and getting married was just a matter of time. Sooner or later. Ji Zhong is also a man, and he is also an excellent man in all aspects. If he wants to hug him, he doesn't have to go to him, there will be many women who will take the initiative to hug him. Ji Zhong has a strong desire to survive. Luoluo, don't think what will happen to me when you see how others are doing. I am not a half-hearted person. I only have one Luoluo in my life. After finishing his words, he said aggrievedly, I didn't even understand a single thing, so I'm not going to make trouble for nothing. Yan Xianluo chuckled, why are you acting like you're facing a formidable enemy? I just asked casually. I asked casually because I was thinking about it. I must make it clear, I don't want to be blamed for some I lost you for some inexplicable reason, just this once, don't doubt my feelings for you again, Ji Zhong said in a serious tone. Seeing that he took this question so seriously, Yan Xianluo realized that she was not serious enough and should not doubt him, and immediately apologized, I'm sorry, I won't ask such questions again in the future. Ji Zhong corrected him, you can't think of me like that anymore. If you have any doubts, you still have to ask me. Well, from now on I will only believe what you say. Yan Xianluo nodded obediently, remembering the consequences of this provocation in her heart. Men sometimes worry about certain things. It is better to avoid such things in the future. Besides, she did feel that since she had chosen to accept him, she had to believe him. This topic was finally over. Ji Zhong didn't ask her about alchemy. In his heart, as long as it was something that Yan Xianglou promised, it must be possible. She said that it would be cured with 4 pills. Good Mrs. Bell, you can do it. As for the remuneration, there is no need to worry about it. How can a continental master still default on his debts? So the next thing the two of them talked about was the patients to be treated tomorrow. Tomorrow the leader of Qinglun Mountain will come. As for who the patient is, we can't be sure. I arranged for someone to go buy the information from I don't know, but they didn't get any, Ji Zhong said. He still needs time to grow up, so it is quite difficult to find information. However, the fact that there is no information shows that this patient is an excellent being protected by Qinglun Mountain, and his status must not be low. Qinglun Mountain is a special existence in the higher continent. There are many powerful sects in the higher continent. Every few years, each sect recruits disciples from the entire continent. This Qinglun Mountain is a special existence. They never take the initiative to recruit disciples, only those who want to come to Qinglun Mountain take the initiative. Then the Qinglun Mountain Association will arrange an assessment and you can become a disciple of the sect if you pass it. There is no time limit. You can come at any time of the year. The assessment will be arranged for you at any time. You will not be looked down upon because of your family's high family status. They will look down on you because you have no family power behind you. You won't be bothered by just one person, nor will you be lazy because there are many people. There is only one condition for entering the sect, which is to pass the sect examination, and there is absolutely no chance of cheating. What Qinglun Mountain wants is real talents with good talents, and it is better to have a shortage than to overload them. This has been insisted on since the beginning of the sect's establishment until now, and it has never changed. Because of this, there are relatively fewer disciples in Qinglun Mountain than other sects, but their cultivation and talents are all very good. In the higher continent, many families recognize the teaching methods of Qinglun Mountain and let their children go to Qinglun Mountain to try it out first. In other words, although Qinglun Mountain does not have the title of the first sect, it has the first section, the appearance of the door. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 443. Why not talk about strength? The reason is very simple. The strength among the various sects in the inner continent is almost evenly matched. It is difficult to distinguish between them. It is impossible to rank them at all. Even if the rankings are ranked this year, they may change next year. This is also the reason why Xian chose the head of Qinglun Mountain as the second patient. Because of its specialness, the sect is recognized by the entire continent. Yan Xianglou knew what Ji Zhong was worried about and said with a smile, I am still very confident in my medical skills, and you also know that I have many methods and rely on more than just medical skills. No matter who the other party is, in my eyes he is just a patient, he only treats illnesses and does not care about anything else. Ji Zhong nodded and said, that's good. I'm here. Luoluo can just treat the patients with peace of mind. Leave the rest to me. Yes, Yan Xianglou responded happily. The two talked for a while, and then Chen Moran came to report that the Lord of the Southern Continent had arranged for someone to deliver medicinal materials. Ji Zhong asked the person who delivered the medicinal materials to come in. Yan Xianglou checked that the medicinal materials were correct and then left. Come and get the elixir tomorrow morning, you can leave now. The man who came to deliver the medicine twitched his lips and sent him off unceremoniously. This Master Yu is really special. Thinking that someone with such a high status as his master was sent off rudely, it was no big deal that a subordinate like him was sent off so rudely. But he is a master of medical skills. Although his cultivation is not as good as him, he is still respectable enough. What's more, the life of his wife, Mrs. Linger, is still in his hands. Therefore, he has a lot of activity in his heart without showing any signs on his face. He gives the gift with proper etiquette. Then he turned around and left. Yan Xianglou got up and returned to her yard with the medicinal materials, and asked Chen Jinwen to call Qi Hao and let him watch her refining the elixir. Although Qi Hao may not be able to understand it now, he will know the order and some techniques of making alchemy by heart over time, which will be of great help to him when he actually starts making alchemy in the future. Qi Hao would naturally cherish this opportunity and stand aside out of the way, staring intently at Yan Xiangluo's movements, pondering her techniques and her strength in controlling the heat. After a batch of pills came out, Qi Hao's big eyes suddenly widened. Oh my god, the master actually refined 6 pills in one batch. This was the first time he had seen such a high rate of elixirs. What he didn't know was that this was the result of Yan Xiangluo suppressing the level of the elixir. Yan Xiangluo is used to refining an elixir and integrating all the essence into the elixir, so the elixir is of high grade and effective. She can now refine a god-level elixir. If it is a perfect quality elixir, it should be a single elixir. The level of the elixir has been suppressed, so what to do with the excess high-quality medicinal properties? It has been divided into multiple low-level elixirs. The reason why 6 pills were refined this time was because it was made for Mrs. Linger's body. It was the first time that this kind of pill was refined, so 6 pills were made. If we are familiar with each other, there should be more. Come out with one. An hour later, Yan Xiangluo refined all 4 types of elixirs. The level of each elixir was controlled at the 6th level, and the finished elixirs were all 6. Put the elixirs separately, put one into a medicine bottle, label it with the number 1, and go down in order. This is for those who come and go for elixirs tomorrow morning. She labeled the other 5 elixirs with their respective functions and put them away separately. She could just keep these for herself. After putting away the elixir, Yan Xiangluo began to examine Qi Hao's effect on reading her essays in the past 2 days. She was indeed a smart child and could answer all the parts fluently after reading them. I took the opportunity to ask Yan Xiangluo for advice when I couldn't understand clearly. Yan Xiangluo explained to him patiently, and she didn't let Qi Hao go back until lunch. There is no other way. After treating the last patient tomorrow, she will prepare to go in with Xuanhuan to practice. Each time she enters the palace to practice, the time is longer, and the results are better and better each time. Therefore, although she will come out before Xuanhuan this time, she is not sure of the specific time, so she will seize all the time to guide her little apprentice. This situation may be the norm. Xuanhuan came over to have lunch with her. Now, Xian in the mansion has bought more than a dozen slaves. They are not sin slaves. Sin slaves cannot be bought just because they want to buy them. They have to be divided into time. There is a time limit for sin slaves to leave the place of service. Ruan Xiangluo, when he Xuanhuan was buying people, he happened to catch up with a batch. The slaves Xian bought were not sin slaves, they were just sold as slaves. In fact, most of the slaves in the yaxing shop were sold by their masters. Although such slaves are cheap, they are all too carefree and uneasy. Work hard, otherwise the owner wouldn't sell it. Xian's eyes were so vicious that even the people in yaxing were surprised. Why did the people he jumped out to be the kind of people who had just been sold as slaves? There are more people in the house, and the errands have been redistributed. Feng Jiayan is now responsible for the master's food. The kitchen is still under her control, but she only needs to do the food for Yu Xiangluo and Xuanhuan. Among the newly bought slaves, the kitchen and waiters have been arranged for the 2 people's daily life. Although there are still not many people, it is much more convenient and orderly than before. After lunch, Yan Xianglou continued to make alchemy, Ji Hong went to the study room in front, and Xian and Chang Feng followed them in. Master, Lu Yu has gone into the secret realm of old age, Xian said. At present, their own news network has not been established, but it is difficult to keep the whereabouts of people like Lu Yu secret, not to mention such a major event as entering the secret realm of Twilight, which has been spread to the southern continent today. Ji Hong was relieved when he heard this. He could go in and experience it with confidence. There was a time limit for entering the secret realms of the 12 continents. It was 2 months, which meant that he would not be able to get out before the time was up. He could rest assured during these 2 months. With the experience, there is no need to worry about Lu Yu's actions. After all, the news that he chopped off Lu Yu's outstretched hand should not have spread back yet. Lu Yu would not know that everyone had broken off before entering the secret realm, and there would be no other arrangements. When he comes out, there will be a continental competition, and he won't have the time or energy to deal with them. In 2 months, no one can bully him, not even Luoluo's cultivation level. By then, his father-in-law and mother-in-law should also be here. If he wants to take down Luoluo again, he will have to think carefully about it. He cannot bear the consequences. Arrange some people to stay and protect Luoluo, and wait until a group of people come out before letting them in. After we go into practice, let Chen Moran pay attention to whether there are people named Yunfuxian and Long Yimen coming. When they come, they must stay. Just he told Luoluo to retreat and ask them to wait in the house. I will ask Luoluo to give him a token tomorrow, and those who come will believe it when they see it. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 444. Ji Hong arranged everything before going into practice. This time he wanted to break through to a level of cultivation that he was satisfied with. After all, he would participate in the continental competition after coming out, and his goal was to be first. He must have everything arranged properly without any mistakes. At midnight the next day, someone from the Lord of the Southern Continent came to pick up the medicine on time. They were also the attendants of the Lord of the Southern Continent who came to deliver the medicine yesterday. Yan Xianglou took out the medicine bottle, explained how to use it, and then gave him some special instructions before giving him the medicine. He took the medicine bottle, opened it and took a look, confirming that there was indeed an elixir inside. He didn't know whether the elixir was the right one. He put it away and said, "My master, please tell Master Yu that in 1 month, I will bring Mrs. Lang come and deliver the reward in person. The implication is that if you heal someone well, we will come to thank you together, if you do not heal someone well, we will come to punish you." Yan Xianglou waved his hand and said, "The Lord of the Southern Continent is busy with affairs, how can he be so troublesome? Just arrange for the payment to be delivered personally, and I may not be able to leave the customs by then. The payment can be given directly to Butler Chen in the mansion." It's not that she didn't hear what the other party meant, she just told him in this way that she would definitely heal the person, and she didn't take the reward seriously, so you can just leave it to the housekeeper. Chen Moran hurriedly said, "I am the housekeeper of the house." The attendant glanced at Chen Moran and then at Yan Xianglou. "I will convey Master Yan's words to the Lord. I'll take my leave. He can't decide this matter, so he can only report it to the Lord. As for what the Lord does, that is the Lord's business." But today he learned a lesson and said goodbye first, not wanting to be sent off rudely again. "Steward Chen, see the guests off." Yan Xianglou glanced at him and said to Chen Moran. The corner of the waiter's mouth twitched. He had already said goodbye so wisely, but why did he feel like he was being sent off unceremoniously? Chen Moran made a gesture of invitation, and the attendant said nothing more. When he left the house, he looked up at the door plaque that was not there yesterday. It had the word written on it. He was a little surprised. Before they came, they checked the identities of Yan Xianglou and Ji Hong. There were originally 3 families in this mansion. They bought the middle one first, and then bought the ones on both sides. The walls were torn down and turned into a mansion. He thought the residence would be written as Ji's mansion, but he didn't expect that it would be written as whose mansion. Could it be that Ji Zhong is a soft-boiled person? But it didn't look like it, so the attendant left with doubts. In fact, Yan Xianglou didn't even know that the mansion now has a plaque on its door, and it still says Guan's mansion. Ji Zhong did all this without telling her. Ji Zhong did this for 2 reasons. First, this is the mansion that Yan Xianglou likes, and writing about it makes her feel more at home. As long as he has Luoluo, he will have a sense of belonging. Wherever Luoluo is, it is home. As for whether it is written on the door of the house, whether it is Guanfu or Jifu, it does not matter to him. Secondly, when they all go into practice, if Luoluo's parents come looking for them, they will know that they are looking for the right one when they see the door plaque. Ji Zhong can be said to be fully prepared for Yuan Xianglou. As soon as the attendant of the departing lord of the southern continent walked out of the alley, he saw a low-key but luxurious carriage approaching the alley. 6 snow-white horses with smooth fur pull the carriage. The totem on the carriage can tell the identity of the person sitting inside at a glance. People from Qinglun Mountain. The attendant gave way to the intersection and watched the carriage drive into the alley. He took a special look at the 5 people riding snow-white horses. The clothes of these people all appear to be disciples of Qinglun Mountain, and they are the clothes of direct disciples. He raised his eyebrows. Why did the people from Qinglun Mountain appear here? Thinking that there used to be 3 houses in the alley, but now there is only one, which is Yu's mansion. People who come here must be going to the place where Master Yu lives. Could it be that they are also here to seek medical treatment? Driven by curiosity, he waited for a while and walked back. When he reached the corner and took a look, he happened to see the carriage parked in front of the gate of the palace, and the housekeeper of the palace came out to greet the guests. Are you really here to see a doctor? After all, Yan Xianglou and Ji Zhong are both from the lower continent. Even though they have been here for several months, it is impossible for them to know someone with such a high status in Qinglun Mountain. So there is only one explanation, that is, people from Qinglun Mountain also came to see a doctor. It was then that he realized that there was a reason why Master Yu was so arrogant. The people who came to see her for treatment were all influential figures and powerful people in the mainland. He has the capital of pride. Even though he comes from a lower-class country that is most looked down upon by the high-class mainlanders, his cultivation talent and abilities are incomparable to the high-class mainlanders who were born and raised like them. The attendant did not dare to stay too long. There was already a spiritual consciousness inside the carriage, so he quickly turned around and left. If he was too late, he would be crushed by someone's spiritual consciousness. He might become a fool. It's better to go back and tell the master quickly. He arrived at the city lord's mansion in Xiangyang city as quickly as possible. Yes, the lord of the southern continent took Mrs. Ling to live in the city lord's mansion last night, waiting for the elixir. The lord of the southern continent saw his attendant returning and immediately asked, "Did you get the elixir back? Go back to the master and bring it back." The attendant immediately took out the elixir and handed it over, and also explained how to use the elixir. The lord of the southern continent took the elixir and looked at the clear labels on it. He opened the medicine bottle with one written on it, poured out the elixir, and looked at it. It turned out to be a 6th grade high-grade elixir. As expected, Xianglou, just like what the lord of Xiangyang city said, he is not only excellent in medical skills, but also very powerful in alchemy. At only 16 years old, he is actually a 6th grade alchemist. He can refine top-grade elixirs. How powerful is his alchemy talent? He didn't know yet that this was just the grade that Yan Xianglou deliberately revealed. Her real alchemy level was already at the level, and the quality of the elixir was still perfect. If he knew, he didn't know if he would be able to be so calm and sigh. Ling take one pill and see the effect before we set off back, the Lord of the Southern Continent said in a gentle tone. Mrs. Ling looked at the crystal clear elixir, opened her mouth and ate it. The Lord of the Southern Continent paid close attention to her condition and asked softly, "How are you? Do you feel any discomfort?" Mrs. Ling shook her head, "No discomfort." As soon as I finished speaking, I felt a heat rising from the danchan in my body. It first traveled in the danchan, and then spread around the body with the danchan as the center, wherever it went. It was all warm and very comfortable. A heat is flowing through my body. I feel very comfortable wherever I go. The effect of this elixir is amazing, Mrs. Ling said in surprise. The Lord of the Southern Continent narrowed his eyes when he heard this. Does the medicine take effect so quickly? The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 445. Although he asked, he didn't expect that the effect of the medicine would show up so quickly. At this moment, Mrs. Ling covered her heart and a large mouthful of black blood spurted out from her mouth. The attendant quickly turned aside, just in time to avoid it, otherwise it would have sprayed on him. The Lord of the Southern Continent was shocked. What happened to Ling? The attendant hurriedly said, "Master, you specifically told me that it is a good thing to vomit black blood first. Don't stop it. Just vomit as much as you can." The Lord of the Southern Continent also remembered what Xianxia said yesterday. It was normal to vomit black blood and it was detoxification. He felt relieved and quickly asked someone to prepare some water for mouthwash. After vomiting 3 mouthfuls of black blood, Mrs. Ling stopped feeling nauseated. Her chest was no longer stuffy, she felt much more comfortable, and her breath became smoother. After rinsing her mouth, she smiled and said to the Lord of the Southern Continent, "My heart is no longer stuffy. I feel very comfortable." The Lord of the Southern Continent said with emotion, "Master, use medical skills and alchemy skills are very powerful." Indeed, Mrs. Ling agreed. Suddenly he held his stomach and said urgently, "Sir, get out quickly." Seeing her look, the Lord of the Southern Continent immediately understood that this was to continue detoxification in another way. It was indeed inconvenient for them to be there, so they quickly followed the waiter out and asked 2 maids from the city lord's mansion to wait on her. At this time, the attendant had the opportunity to report what he saw. "Your Majesty, the people from King Glun Mountain have gone to Yu's mansion." The Lord of the Southern Continent was stunned. "Who is going?" The attendant said, "Don't dare to get close. The people inside have very strong spiritual consciousness. They found me, so I left quickly." The Lord of the Southern Continent thought about it and immediately said, "Call the Lord of Xiangyang City to come. This is Xiangyang City, and it is his territory. He should be very clear about the affairs of the palace, otherwise he, the city lord, would not be able to sit firmly. The Lord of Xiangyang City has been paying attention to the movements on their side, just to come over immediately if something happens, so the Lord of Xiangyang City came soon." The Lord of the Southern Continent asked directly, "Who is going to see a doctor in Yu's mansion today?" The Lord of Xiangyang City immediately replied, "It is the treatment quota reserved by the head of King Glun Mountain. The specific person who is being treated cannot be found. I don't know and there is no news." The implication is that he doesn't know the information, which even the family doesn't know. It's normal that he doesn't know. It's not that he has no ability. The Lord of the Southern Continent frowned. "Is the leader of King Glun Mountain here?" "Here we come, news just came from the city gate. The leader of King Glun Mountain has entered the city. With him, there are 2 elders of King Glun Mountain and 5 disciples." The Lord of Xiangyang City immediately told the news he had just received. Hearing this, the Lord of the Southern Continent said, "Continue to arrange for people to check, and be sure to determine who is coming to see the doctor. Every one of these people who came today is a very important person in King Glun Mountain. It would be better if the disciple is sick, but if he is the leader of King Glun Mountain, the matter will be serious. whoever has the ability to hurt the leader of King Glun Mountain must be a person with the same level of spiritual cultivation as him. The most important thing is that being able to come to Yufa for medical treatment shows that the injury is serious. But this is unlikely. Could it be an elder? The elders of King Glun Mountain are all at a real level of cultivation. How could they be seriously injured? Thinking again about the few disciples who had followed, the eyes of one of them, the lord of the southern continent, changed. Was Wei Changjiao seriously injured last year? Wei Changjiao is the youngest son of the leader of King Glun Mountain and his favorite son. He remembers that Wei Changjiao was seriously injured when he went into a secret realm for training last year. The lord of Xianxia city nodded and said, Wei Changjiao fell into a coma after coming out of the secret training realm last year. He only woke up a year ago. It is said that he was fine after waking up. Is there any hidden disease that has not been cured? His son has been ill for 3 years after coming out of the secret realm. Wei Changjiao may not have any accidents. Let someone keep an eye on them as soon as they leave the concubine's house, invite them to the mansion to gather together and say that they were invited by me. The lord of the southern continent immediately made a decision. No matter who is sick, the head of King Glun Mountain has arrived in his southern continent territory. Although this is not where he lives, Xianxia city is also in the southern continent. Since he is here, he must see him. Such an opportunity is once in a lifetime. The mainland competition for hegemony is about to begin, and you can also explore the reality of King Glun Mountain. After all, there are many strong people in this competition. Yes, the lord of Xianxia city had originally arranged for someone to keep an eye on him, but now that the lord of the continent had given him the order, he dared to go ahead and do it. At this time, Yuan Xiangluo from the palace came from her yard to treat the patients. Before entering the living room, she felt a familiar soul breath. This aura definitely does not come from their own family members. Whose soul aura is so familiar? Yan Xiangluo's memory is quite good. She shrank her eyes. How could it be possible? The soul breath she sensed was the breath of a dead person, that is, Uge. Uge saw his soul with her own eyes. How could his soul appear in the higher continent? With a thought, she walked into the living room and saw 3 older men sitting on the upper left side, and 5 younger men standing behind them. The familiar soul breath came from the man standing closest to the main seat. The man saw her coming in and immediately looked over. His eyes flashed and he immediately looked away. Although he looked away quickly, Yan Xiangluo could still see the hatred in his eyes. She walked over calmly. When Ji Zhozhong saw her coming, he stood up and walked over. The 3 older people also stood up. Luoluo, this is the head of King Glun Mountain, and these 2 are the first elder and the second elder. Ji Zhozhong introduced her. Yan Xiangluo greeted the 3 of them one by one. After the 5 of them sat down, Ji Zhozhong continued to introduce. The 4 of them are the direct disciples of the sect leader. This is the sect leader's youngest son, Wei Changjiao. At the same time, a message was sent to Yan Xiangluo. Luoluo, Wei Changjiao has an aura that I don't like. I get tired of seeing him. You should be more careful. Ji Zhozhong's intuition is very sensitive. Every time he feels this way, the other person is his enemy, which also allows him to avoid many dangers. Yan Xiangluo was surprised by Ji Zhozhong's sensitivity. She was very sensitive to aura because of the Long family's soul-controlling power. Ji Zhozhong didn't have the soul-controlling power, so she could tell something was wrong with Wei Changjiao just by intuition. She greeted the 5 people with a smile, and also sent a message to Ji Zhozhong. The soul of Uge lives in his body. Ji Zhozhong's eyes paused for a moment. Obviously he didn't expect it to be like this. No wonder he felt disgusted when he saw him. It turned out that he was Uge. It seemed that after Uge's death, he encountered an opportunity and came here instead. The higher continent comes alive through the bodies of others. Just now Wei Changjiao saw his instincts avoided his eyes. Although he changed his body, he had been with Zhizhong for so many years. Some habits could not be changed, and his fear of himself was deeply rooted in the bone marrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 446. Chapter 446, Open Your Eyes First. Fortunately, Zhizhong didn't show his normal emotions, so he didn't show anything. Actually, Yu was extremely nervous at this time. Although his body had been changed, his soul belonged to Yu. He has been trained as a guard since he was a child. The first rule is loyalty, but he failed to do so and died for this reason. This fear of his former master is engraved on his soul. The most important thing is that he knows Zhizhong's methods and strength. Therefore, how could he not be afraid when he saw the two of them again, especially when he knew their abilities very well? Actually, when he learned that the people he was coming to meet were Zhizhong and Xianxia 2 days ago, he began to be frightened and uneasy, and even tried many ways to refuse. Although I came, I always had a fluke mentality. I feel that although Xianxia has the blood of the Long family and has the power of soul control, he has changed his body now. How old is Xianxia now? No matter how good his talent is, the power of soul control is not that easy to learn. It is impossible to have too many high level of soul control. So he felt that Xianxia did not have the strength to see through a person's body what the soul in his body looked like. Having seen Zhizhong first just now, he instinctively avoided Zhizhong's eyes. This is a habit he has developed since he was a child following Zhizhong. This habit is not only his but also the habit of everyone who follows Zhizhong. Just because Zhizhong's gaze is so penetrating, it's like he can see through you with just one glance. All your thoughts are exposed in front of him. Therefore, he has always been used to not looking at Zhizhong. Although this can reduce the fear and uneasiness in the heart, it also misses many opportunities to truly understand Zhizhong's thoughts. He was not worried about Zhizhong. After all, he did not have the power to control souls. In his heart, he was already dead. He never expected that his soul would be reborn in the body of a high-level mainlander and stand in front of him. But when he saw Xianxia, he was worried and hating. If it weren't for Xianxia, he would not have died protecting Xianxia. He couldn't control his hatred at that moment. He quickly looked away, thinking that Xianxia wouldn't notice. Unexpectedly, he happened to be seen by Xianxia, but Xianxia didn't show it. Seeing that Xianxia's expression was always normal and she looked at him like a stranger, he felt relieved. As expected, her power of controlling souls was not that strong, and she could not see through a person's body to see what the soul was inside. Kind of. Similarly, the person with the strongest soul control power in the Long family has not reached this level. How long did it take for Xianxia to awaken? No matter how good the talent is, it still takes time to grow. After confirming that Xianxia could not see his soul, Yu was completely relieved and his expression became much calmer. The head of King Glun Mountain has made an appointment for medical treatment. Who needs medical treatment? Xianxia asked. Before, she only had the heart to heal patients, but now she knows that Yuji's soul lives in Wei Changjiu's body. It's different. Yuji had a strong hostility towards her from the beginning, and later found out that it was because he liked Xianxia, but he eventually died because of his disloyalty, but Yuji put all his hatred on her. It is also a sign of weakness. Because he believed in his soul that Zhizhong was a strong person, he only dared to do things secretly, but he dared to confront Xianxia head-on, just because he was a waste of cultivation in everyone's eyes and was easy to bully. From the moment Yuji betrayed Zhizhong because of Xianxia, his ending was doomed. And if they meet again in this way, it will inevitably be a life and death situation between them. Therefore, not only Uge will not let her go, but she will not let Uge go either. The head of King Glun Mountain glanced at Yan Xiangluo and frowned, even though he already knew that she had cured Mu Xiaoyang, the young lord of Xiangyang city. Yesterday, he treated Mrs. Ling, the most beloved woman of the lord of the southern continent. Mu Xiaoyang can see the results and is already cured. Not only that, he has also advanced. Mrs. Ling, the woman of the lord of the southern continent, didn't know how effective it would be, so when he saw that Yan Xiangluo was really such a young girl, he still had doubts about her medical skills. So he tentatively asked, "I heard that Master Yu has superb medical skills. Can you open my eyes first?" Yan Xiangluo's apricot eyes glowed with light, indicating that she didn't believe her and wanted to test her depth. She asked with a faint smile on her lips, "How do you want to open your eyes, Master?" The head of King Glun Mountain said, "The patients who need to be treated by Yu Xiangluo during this trip are among us. Master Yu, can you tell me which one needs treatment?" In fact, such a test by the head of King Glun Mountain can be regarded as difficult. Even a doctor with superb medical skills needs some diagnostic methods to find out the patient's illness and physical condition. How can someone just point out which patient is at a glance sick? Yan Xiangluo didn't care at all about such obvious difficulties. The reason why she chose to receive such difficult patients was because she wanted everyone to believe in her medical skills. It's normal for people to test it first. The more they test it, the more they can prove that their medical skills are indeed superb. Therefore, just as the head of King Gluo Mountain finished speaking, Yan Xiangluo pointed her slender finger and gently highlighted one word, him. Everyone looked at the person she pointed at, Wei Changjiao, except Jiju Chungqing, and everyone in luncheon was surprised. In fact, no one knows who the patient who came to see him today is except for the headmaster of King Glun Mountain, 2 elders, and the patient himself and the other 4 disciples. Those who knew her were shocked that her medical skills were so superb that she could tell who was sick just by looking at her without a diagnosis. After all, Wei Changjiao looks no different from a good person. For those who don't know, the 4 disciples were shocked that their junior brother Wei Changjiao had not recovered yet. Although they had speculated before, but now it was confirmed, they were still surprised as to why he was so seriously injured. Even Wei Changjiao, also known as Uge, was surprised that Yan Xiangluo could tell at a glance that there was something wrong with her body. Her medical skills seemed to have improved a lot compared to those in Tianqian continent. The head of King Glun Mountain did not expect that Yan Xiangluo knew who the patient was without even thinking. This really shocked him. In a moment, the head of King Glun Mountain praised him, "Master Yu's medical skills are indeed superb. I leave the children's illness to Master Yu." Yan Xiangluo said calmly, "I am a doctor. I will do my best to treat any patient. Whether I can cure it or not depends on the situation. After all, I cannot bring the dead back to life." The head of King Glun Mountain is not displeased with what Yu Xiangluo said. After all, even the heavenly master cannot bring the dead back to life. Master Yu has seen that the child is in good health. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 447. Yan Xiangluo smiled, and her originally alluring face became even more beautiful with this smile. "No, his health is very bad," Yan Xiangluo retorted unceremoniously. The leader of King Glun Mountain laughed loudly, "Master Yu, you are awesome." Only at this moment did he truly believe that Yan Xiangluo's medical skills were indeed superb. Yes, these words were also meant to test Yan Xiangluo. His son's body was deteriorating, but it was just a matter of where his cultivation level was. Normally he couldn't tell. Yan Xiangluo put away her smile and snorted in her heart. How could a body that had lost its original soul be good? Even if a new soul now lives in it, and it matches his body to 8 out of 10, it still has flaws. If it's not yours, it's not yours, and it's not as useful as your own. Poor health is just a symptom. Over time, the soul and body will become weaker and weaker. Whether you want a good soul or a good body, you must completely integrate the body and soul. Only in this way can the body truly belong to UGE, and UGE's soul can completely control the body. As soon as the head of King Glun Mountain raised his hand, the other 4 disciples went out with a look. Yan Xiangloo glanced at Chen Moran and Xian, and the 2 of them also went out with understanding. Chen Moran arranged for the 4 of them to be invited to the flower hall to drink tea. The 4 of them looked at each other and said nothing, but they knew in their hearts that junior brother Chang Yu had a serious health problem. Otherwise, the headmaster would not have brought junior brother Chang Jiao to seek medical treatment after hearing that Yan Xiangloo was highly skilled in medicine. He brought them to provide cover for junior brother Chang Jiao. The 4 of them drank tea in silence, not daring to say a word, for fear of getting into trouble if they said something wrong. In the living room, Yan Xiangloo stood up and walked to the round table, saying to Wei Changjiao, "Mr. Wei, please sit here, and I will take your pulse." Although Wei Changjiao, also known as UGE, thought that Yan Xiangloo did not realize that he was UGE, he was still instinctively repelled in his heart and hesitated to go. "Master Yu's medical skills are so great, why do you still need to check your pulse?" As soon as his words came out of his mouth, the head of King Glun Mountain turned dark. "Chang Yu, don't be irrational." Ji Zhongfen narrowed his eyes, and it turned out to be UGE. The tone and way he spoke were exactly the same as UGE. His heart was narrow and dark, and his nature could not be changed even if he changed his body. Yan Xiangloo smiled lightly and said, "It seems that Mr. Wei not only hurt his soul but also his brain." UGE stiffened as soon as she said these words. Could it be that she had seen her soul? The head of King Glun Mountain was overjoyed after hearing what Yuan Xiangloo said. "Master Yuan is the person with the most powerful medical skills I have ever seen." Because he knew very well that his youngest son's soul was injured and he was unconscious for so long before he woke up. But he didn't know at all that it was no longer his son who woke up, and the few remaining souls of his son were also destroyed. UGE's soul was swallowed up, so he could merge with this body. It was also because the soul of the original body was incomplete that he couldn't fully fuse. He stood up and walked to Wei Changjiao, pulled him to the chair next to Yan Xiangloo and sat down. "The child's temperament has been unstable since he was injured. Please ask Master Yu to forgive his rudeness." Yan Xiangloo said calmly, "I am a doctor. I am only responsible for treating patients. You pay me, that's all. The implication is that whether your son is polite or well educated has nothing to do with me. I don't care. I just getting paid for treating patients." At the same time, such strong words also express that she will not climb King Glun Mountain through medical treatment. "I will treat you and I will pay each other in a clear relationship. No one owes anyone. As for your son's upbringing and politeness, that is your responsibility. What happened for her father had nothing to do with her." The head of King Glun Mountain had heard before that Yan Xiangloo was very rude and would not save anyone's face and spoke directly. At this time, he finally understood. It has been many years since anyone dared to talk to him like this, but now that he had something to ask for, he could only endure it. He turned to Wei Changjiao and said seriously, "If you think about it well, just listen to Master Yu." UGE felt very aggrieved, and was afraid that Yan Xiangloo would see something, but the father of this body had spoken. He was the one who had the confidence to be here, and he did not dare to make him angry. "You can only put your wrist on the pulse pillow that Yan Xiangloo took out." Yan Xiangloo took out a snow-white silk handkerchief and put it on his wrist, then felt his pulse. He checked his pulse with both wrists respectively. About a quarter of an hour later, Yan Xiangloo withdrew his hand. It must be said that UGE was lucky. He swallowed a part of the original soul and merged with this body 8/10. Otherwise, the body it's not just the current state. It is easy to cure him. The simplest way is to use the power of soul control. But he is UGE. Behind this body stands the entire Qinglun mountain. Being an enemy of him is equivalent to being an enemy of the entire Qinglun mountain. This is a situation that Yan Xianglou doesn't want to face now. She didn't want to expose how strong her soul-controlling power was, even though UGE knew that she had the power to control souls. But letting go of singing like this would be like letting the tiger return to the mountain, and she was unwilling to do so. At this time, Zhizhong sent her a message: heal him and bind his soul to this body. At least we know where the enemy is. Zhizhong's words suddenly enlightened Ruanxiang. Now, she couldn't kill him blatantly, and she needed to heal him to become famous and heal him. Although she had a powerful enemy, just like Zhizhong said that it is better for them to know who and where the enemy is than for GE's soul to invade the body of someone they don't know. It is much better for the enemy to be secretly there. I understand. Yan Xianglou sent a message to Zhizhong. The head of Qinglun Mountain and the two elders glanced at the two of them. Their cultivation levels were all above the level, especially since the head of Qinglun Mountain was a god. Naturally, they noticed that the two were talking through sound transmission, but we can only know that they spoke through sound transmission, and it is impossible to know what they said. But they didn't say anything. They glanced at the two of them and then looked away. As long as Wei Changjiao can be cured, the rest has nothing to do with them. With these three god-level experts around, two people with sect-level cultivation did not dare to resort to any tricks. Yan Xianglou put away his pulse pillow and said to the head of Qinglun Mountain, Mr. Wei's soul body was attacked and seriously injured. He should have been in a coma for at least 2 months before he woke up. But the damage to his soul body was too serious. The soul and the body cannot be perfectly integrated like before, so that the spiritual root has been seriously affected, and it is a little sluggish, and the body is getting worse day by day. You should have been using Yang Yuan pill to nourish his body. Otherwise, he should be bedridden by now. But even the god-level Yuan Yang pill is not effective now. The head of Qinglun Mountain said excitedly, that's true. Does Master Yu have a way to cure it? The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 448. The younger son was attacked in the secret realm. When he came out, he only said that his soul body had been attacked and he fainted. It was already 2 months later when he woke up. At that time, they invited the Heavenly Master to stabilize the soul body. However, the Heavenly Master could only help stabilize the soul body, and there was nothing else he could do. Even hiring the most powerful medical practitioner in the mainland could not make him get better, but instead made him weaker and weaker. Ruan Xianglou said, yes, if you want him to get better completely, you need a soul-melting pill to help his body and soul completely merge. Then the physical problems will naturally be solved. However, the medicinal materials required for the soul-melting pill are extremely rare and precious. Especially the resurrection grass, which is not only difficult to pick, but also needs to be kept fresh, and the whole grass must not be damaged at all. The head of Qinglun Mountain knows about the soul-melting pill, which is a legendary pill. Could it be that she knows how to refine it? Even if she knew how to refine it, it would not be easy to collect all the ingredients for the soul-melting pill, but this was the only way to save her son. I'm here to look for medicinal materials. Can Master Yu refine the soul-melting pill? The head of Qinglun Mountain thought for a while and asked. Any alchemist who specializes in refining such a legendary elixir may not be able to succeed even with some high-level elixirs. It is difficult to find the ingredients for the soul-melting pill, and it is difficult to find a second dose. Therefore, it requires an alchemy master with superb alchemy skills to successfully refine the soul-melting pill in one go. He really can't think of any alchemy master who can do it for the first time. Refining the soul-melting pill once was successful. Uge's heart that had been worrying him was completely relieved after Yan Xianglou told him the treatment method. He felt very proud. It seemed that Yan Xiongluo's soul control power was indeed not strong enough, and he could see his own soul and body. If the fusion is not done well, you will not be able to tell that your soul and body are not the original ones. It just so happened that he needed a soul melting pill to help him completely integrate with this body. He knew that Ruan Xiongluo was very good at refining pills and was successful in just one try. He was not worried about the medicinal materials. With his father's love for the original owner of this body, I will definitely find a way to collect the medicinal materials, and I will be saved this time. At the same time, he was also sure that Yan Xiongluo's soul controlling power was indeed not strong enough, and he needed to make pills to help him fuse his soul and body. If he had strong soul controlling power, he could directly use his soul controlling power to help the fusion of his soul and body. There are no such powerful heavenly masters in the higher continents now, so it is normal for Yan Xiongluo to not be able to do this. He knew that it was not that Yan Xiongluo couldn't do it, but that she didn't want to use the power of soul control. In addition, she was his mortal enemy. Although she had to heal him, she also had to squeeze him. Uge secretly said in his heart, "Yu Xiongluo, one day you will regret what you did today. Today you healed me, but one day I will make your life worse than death." How did he know that Yan Xiongluo had cured him just to trap his soul in this body and find an opportunity to get rid of him later? Yan Xiongluo said to the headmaster of Qinglun Mountain, "I am a 6th grade alchemist. As long as the headmaster can find all the medicinal materials, I can successfully refine the soul melting pill in one go. The headmaster can rest assured of this. If it fails once, I'll pay you a soul melting pill." What she said was to pay him a soul melting pill, not a pair of medicinal materials for refining the soul melting pill. Who would dare to make such a promise unless she was really strong enough to make it? With Yu Xiongluo's assurance, the head of Qinglun Mountain felt at ease and immediately said, "I'll go back and make preparations. I'll send them to you as soon as I find them all." Ruan Xiongluo said, "I'm about to go into seclusion. The refining of the soul melting pill will have to wait until I come out of seclusion. If you have all the medicinal materials and I haven't come out of seclusion yet, please wait with peace of mind. Mr. Wei's body will not deteriorate in a short time to the point of being hopeless." The head of Qinglun Mountain also knew that it would take a long time to find medicinal materials. Yuan Xiongluo Yingge had to be promoted to retreat, and it would not be long, so he nodded and said, "Okay, I have thanked you, Master Yu. Can I give you the reward now?" In fact, what he meant was to ask how much the reward would be. Yan Xiongluo waved his hand and said, "There is no rush for the reward. I only receive the reward after I have cured the patient. As for the reward, just compare it to the reward of the young master of Xiangyang City, Mu Xiaoyang. She has no intention of calculating the reward. The lord of Xiangyang City is very generous and she is satisfied with the reward, so let's follow this." The lord of the southern continent didn't ask her how much she would be remunerated. He obviously knew how much the lord of Xiangyang City had given her, so compare it to this. Looking at it this way, you can also see a person's character and character. Just when the head of Qinglun Mountain was about to stand up and leave, Ji Zhong sent a message to Yan Xiongluo, "Luoluo, leave Uge behind." Yan Xiongluo's eyes paused. Although she didn't know why Ji Zhong wanted to keep Uge, she responded quickly and said, "Master, please stay. There is one more thing." The head of Qinglun Mountain had already stood up. After hearing this, he sat down again and said, "Master Yu, please speak." Yan Xiongluo's mind was spinning rapidly. How could she keep Uge without the head of Qinglun Mountain suspecting that she had ulterior motives? It's like this. Although Mr. Wei's physical condition will not deteriorate to an irremediable point in a short time, it is not suitable for it to continue to deteriorate. The head of Qinglun Mountain frowned. "Master Yu also knows that these medicinal materials cannot be collected in a short time. I have a way to ensure that Mr. Wei's health will not deteriorate again before the soul melting pill is refined. I just don't know if the master can rest assured, but as a doctor I must say it. Yu Xianglou hesitated to speak. Look like. The head of King Glun Mountain immediately asked, what can we do? It would be a good thing if you can prevent your son's health from deteriorating further. My fiancé is very accomplished in formations. I can let him set up a soul nurturing formation so that Mr. Wei can temporarily live in it. He can both maintain his soul and continue his cultivation. However, we have to retreat tonight and cannot leave the mansion. We can only agree Mr. Wei to live in our house for a period of time, but we will not be responsible for Mr. Wei's safety. The head of the house has also seen that there is no one with a high level of cultivation in our house. The head of the house must arrange people for this safety. It's all about protection. What Yuan Xianglou said was reasonable. If you believe it, stay here, if you don't believe it, leave it. But she fulfilled her duty as a doctor. The head of King Glun Mountain hesitated. If he returned to King Glun Mountain, it would be safe. Moreover, he also knew that what Yan Xianglou said was right. There was indeed no one with a very high level of cultivation in their mansion. No. If you stay, you really need to arrange someone to protect your son's safety. Uge didn't want to stay, so he immediately said, Dad, I just need to go back. My body has not changed much during this period, so it doesn't hurt to wait for a while. He really didn't want to stay. From what the head of King Glun Mountain heard, his son was sensible and didn't want to embarrass him. I was still hesitant at first, but I made a decision immediately. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 449. Chapter 449, Setting Up the Soul Array. Then I'll trouble you, Master. You, my son, will stay here for now, and I will take care of safety matters. As for Master Yu and Mr. Zhekong taking so much trouble, I will thank you both at that time. What the leader of King Glun Mountain means by these words is that I will not treat you badly. When the time comes to pay you, I will definitely satisfy you. Uge was a little anxious, but he also knew that this newly baked father was right and he didn't like people to go against him. Even if he didn't want to stay anymore, he didn't refute it, but he made up his mind to stay in the soul nurturing array and not come out until this cheap dad comes again. Besides, for his own safety, Dad will also leave people with strong cultivation to protect him. He wasn't worried about what Xuanhuan and the others would do to him. After all, he still thought in his heart that they didn't know that he was Uge. How did he know that by letting him stay, Xuanhuan wanted to plot against him? Yu Xianglou called Xian and Chen Moran in, create a secluded courtyard and arrange for Mr. Wei to stay. Chen Moran and Xian responded immediately. Xian even looked at each other. Yu Xianglou told her that this was Xuanhuan's intention. Xian immediately understood that this matter was his master's idea and immediately looked at it. He glanced at Xuanhuan, who gave him a look, and he knew what to do. Uge felt very emotional when he saw Xian. Xian was still a subordinate, but his status was different. He was the favorite youngest son of the head of King Glun Mountain, the most famous person in the higher continent. In terms of identity and status, he has far surpassed Xian and the others. In terms of cultivation level, the body itself is also very talented. Although his cultivation level has dropped a bit due to the injury to his soul body, he is also an emperor level cultivation level. Not only is he better than Xian and the others are taller than Zhekong. After the body and soul are completely integrated, I can rely on my previous cultivation experience to cultivate back quickly. If I think about it, I will die if I die. This is also a blessing in disguise. Xuanhuan, whom I once looked up to, has been trampled under my feet. This feeling really becomes more and more beautiful the more I think about it. Xuanhuan and Xianxia took the order and went out, and Yan Xianglou also got up and left. After the diagnosis and treatment, Ji Kong didn't need to worry about other things. Ji Kong likes the way Yan Xianglou relies on him very much, and especially likes to see her expression of "I don't have to worry about anything as long as you are here." The head of King Glun Mountain twitched his mouth when he saw her leaving like this. They were guests as soon as they came to the door. Before their guests left, the host left first. Similarly, they regard themselves as guests, and others only regard them as normal patients. After the diagnosis, they will naturally leave. Why do you still let the doctor chat with you? Ji Kong continued to entertain the head of King Glun Mountain and his party until Xuanhuan came back to report that the yard had been tidied up. Ji Hong asked Xuanhuan to take a group of them to the prepared courtyard, and explained, "The residence is small, I have wronged young Master Wei. You can settle down first. After settling in, I will set up the soul-nourishing array for those who decide to stay. If you need anything, please tell Butler Chen directly." Uge was very proud that you, Ji Hong, were actually polite to you, and your status is indeed very important. He became more and more satisfied with the current identity of this body. The head of King Glun Mountain nodded, "Thank you, Mr. Hong." Ji Hong found that when these people asked them to choose, they all liked to call themselves Mr. Zhong and did not like to call themselves Mr. Ji. He understood that it was probably because of the Ji family's affairs. Ji Kong told Xuanhuan to take good care of his guests, and he stayed in the living room waiting for the head of King Glun Mountain to return. They walked through Ji Hong's small mansion and arrived at the innermost courtyard. Isn't this big? However, the courtyard where Wei Changjia will live is not very big, but the environment is very good. I have to admit that the environment in their mansion is very tastefully decorated. Ji Hong began to prepare things for the formation after they left. He was very satisfied with Yan Xiangluo's clever way of retaining people, which was just convenient for him to implement his plan. The two of them really have a good connection. About half an hour later, the head of King Glun Mountain came back with 4 disciples and said to Ji Hong, "Master Hong, we are leaving now. We will come back after collecting the medicinal materials. The 2 elders will stay with Chang Yu." Ji nodded, and the result was the same as he expected. Although there are 2 god-level experts left behind, nothing affects him. The hands and feet he needs to do are in the formation, and they cannot feel it even if they are in the formation. After Ji Hong personally sent the leaders of King Glun Mountain away, he went to the courtyard where Uge lived and said to the 2 elders, "I will set up the formation now. As long as the 2 elders and Mr. Wei stay in the room and do not come out, it'll be fine soon." It is clear that Ji Hong's formation skills are very strong in Uge, so it is not surprising that Ji Hong said that Uge would be very fast. However, the 2 elders frowned, wondering how fast he could set up the formation, not to mention that the one he set up was of a very high level. The soul-nourishing array. Although I was suspicious in my heart, I still said politely, "Thank you for your help, Mr. Kong. It doesn't matter whether it's fast or slow. They just need to know why they are staying. What happens to other people is their business. They live in other people's mansions and stay in the yard honestly to protect the guard chief Yu so that nothing happens to him." Ji Hong went out and started to set up the formation. He wrapped the entire small courtyard in the formation, so he set up the formation along the wall of the small courtyard. Ji Hong said it would be very soon, and sure enough it was very fast. In just 1 cup of tea, the 2 elders noticed a breath rising from the ground. Suddenly the entire courtyard was enveloped in something invisible to the naked eye, but clearly felt by the soul. In the power, it is as if the soul is wrapped in a warm power, which is extremely comfortable. This is the soul nurturing array. My God, it's better than they imagined. Staying in the small courtyard, not only can the songs nourish the soul, but they can also use the light to nourish the soul. The two elders naturally know the benefits of a strong soul. People with strong souls are also young, and their lifespan can be extended, which is also very helpful for cultivation. This is the main reason why they are willing to leave a junior to protect Chief Wei. Accompanying the leader, that is where the status of the leader lies, but he is not qualified to be left to protect guard Changyu. The head of King Glun Mountain also used this to persuade the two of them to stay and protect his son. Now that they have personally felt the effect of the soul-nourishing array, the two elders are very happy. They are glad that they did not refuse the leader's proposal just now. When Ji Zhozhong appeared in front of them again, the two elders looked at Ji Zhozhong with a more solemn look. Uge didn't think much about it. He was still proud of Ji Zhozhong's joy and pride in serving him. Little did he know that he had fallen into Ji Zhozhong's trap. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 450. What the two elders were thinking was that Ji Zhokong like this would soar to the sky sooner or later. Although their cultivation level was higher than his now, I'm afraid they wouldn't be higher than him for a few years. In terms of their age, they would be much better than them. I just don't know if Ji Zhozhong can grow up. The most important thing in the higher continent is strong people, and there are too many geniuses who died young. It's a pity that Ji Zhokong has no intention of entering King Glun Mountain, otherwise he wouldn't be so indifferent to them. If he is willing to go to King Glun Mountain will definitely train him with all its heart, and King Glun Mountain will definitely reach another peak because of him in the future. What a pity, what a pity. What they don't know is that, let alone Ji Zhozhong, he had no intention of relying on any force. Even if he had plans, he would not choose King Glun Mountain because of Uge. The soul nurturing array has been set up. I won't delay your entry into the courtyard. But Mr. Wei, it's best not to leave the courtyard. If you need anything, tell Butler Chen. We will start retreat tonight. Ji Zhozhong's words were meant for the two of them. Said by an elder. Although the patient Luoluo was treating was Wei Changjiao, the two elders had the final say now, and Ji Zhozhong didn't want to talk to Wei Changjiao, who lived in Uge's soul. The two elders were much more polite this time. They got up and took Ji Zhozhong to the entrance of the courtyard. They watched him leave before returning to the courtyard. I checked around the courtyard wall and didn't find anything wrong. Although I wasn't very proficient in the formation, I knew a little bit about it. The two of them returned to the main room after confirming that nothing was wrong. Uge said indignantly, "Great Elder, he is from a lower continent. Why do you care so much about him? You actually sent him out." The Great Elder glanced at him and felt a little confused. Why did he feel that Wei Changjiao seemed to be a different person after he woke up from his last injury? The cleverness he had before was gone, especially when he came to Xiangyang City this time. I felt that he was stingy in everything he said and did, and sometimes even rude. No matter where he comes from, if he has strength and ability, he deserves to be respected. This world is originally a world where the strong is respected. Although the elder was very dissatisfied with Uge's attitude, he didn't say anything harsh. He just said in a matter-of-fact way that Wei Changjiao was also the son of the head of the clan. Uge didn't notice the great elder's displeasure and asked in confusion, "But you are obviously much stronger than him." The great elder sighed. Now he somewhat understood what Master Yu said today. Wei Changjiao's injury not only hurt his soul, but also his brain. He will surpass me in a few years. After saying this, the great elder was not ready to continue talking about this topic with him. It was a waste of time. Uge's heart was moved after hearing the words of the great elder. He knew very well how strong Ji Zhozhong's cultivation talent was. Now he saw that his cultivation level was one level higher than him, but Ji Zhozhong's promotion speed was not comparable to his. What's more, it will take some time for him to adapt to the cultivation talent of the original owner. Even so, he knows very well that although the original owner's talent is considered a genius, it cannot compare with Ji Zhong. No, he had to find a way to prevent Ji Zhong from dying on the way to growth. He would never allow Ji Zhong to grow up and become a being that surpassed him. What can be done? By the way, Ji Zhong is a tattoo master, and the tattoo technique he learned is called Ji Yin. Isn't it the inheritance technique of the exterminated Ji family in the higher continent? Since the Ji family has been exterminated, it means that the enemies of the Ji family are very strong. As long as he lets out the news that there are still descendants of the Ji family alive and that he has Ji Yin Xuanhuan Kung Fu in his hand, Ji Zhong will definitely be defeated by those people again. People are chased and killed. This trick of borrowing a knife to kill someone was something he learned from Ji Zhong. Don't blame him for being ruthless, because he didn't care about the kindness he had gained from serving for many years. Just how to release it appropriately. Chang Yu, this soul nurturing array is indeed very strong. You should quickly practice it to nourish your soul. This is a rare opportunity, and we have to practice it too. The great elder ended the conversation with Uge. Uge then thought that he still had to rely on Yan Xianglou to fuse his soul and body. If the news was released, Yan Xianglou would definitely be implicated. If the news couldn't be released now, then he would wait until his body and soul merged. During this period, I just used this soul nurturing array to nourish my soul. After all, my soul has been wandering for a long time after leaving my body after death, and my soul power has been consumed a lot. He was taken to the higher continent again to seize this body. Although the soul of this body is no longer complete and the person is in a coma, the person's talent and cultivation are higher than his. If it weren't for that person's guidance, he would never have succeeded in seizing the body. Thinking of this, Uge immediately went back to his room, sat cross-legged on the bed and practiced while absorbing the power in the soul array to nourish his soul body. At this time, Ji Zhong had arrived at Yan Xiangluo's yard. When Yan Xianglou saw him coming, he asked, "What do you want to do to him?" Ji Zhong sat down next to her and said with a smile, "How does Luoluo know what I am going to do to him?" Yan Xianglou rolled her eyes at him. "Maybe you kept him because you missed him so much." Ji Zhong was speechless. He raised his hand to scratch her nose and said lovingly, "Naughty." Yan Xianglou slapped his hand away and rubbed her nose. "Speak quickly." Ji Zhong looked outside and saw that they all avoided him wisely. He stretched out his arms to hug the person and held him in his arms. Then he said, "Luoluo is really a good helper for me. I was just planning how to do something to him, and Luoluo just got it done." Yan Xiang said clearly, "Did you do anything to the soul nurturing array?" "Clever." Ji Zhong praised her first, and then continued, "Uge is different from Qin Suiwu. He knows too much about me. He knows Ji Yin, and now he is in the first-class sect of the High Continent. He will definitely not allow it. When we grow up, the best way is to borrow a knife to kill. How can I borrow one or more sharp knives? Is there any better way than to reveal my identity?" Yan Xiang understood. She had never thought of this level. "Then what do you want to do?" Yan Xianglou asked curiously. "I'm going to erase part of his memory. Regarding the part about Ji Yin, I'm just making preparations to make it easier to do it. The best chance to take action is at night. I'll need Luoluo's help." Then Ji Zhong said what he said about himself, the goal of. Yan Xiangluo's eyes lit up and she asked excitedly, "Have you carved the memory-destroying mysterious pattern on your tattoo?" The memory-destroying mysterious pattern is one of the highest-level mysterious patterns among Ji Yin. Jiju wanted to erase the memory of Ji Yin from Uge's memory, so he must have carved the memory-destroying mysterious pattern on it.